Welcome in episode 65 live. Ramie and Drew. I am Ramie Mackloff. That is Drew Flaggy. We're a couple of Milwaukee comedians who talk about sports and whatever else might come to our stupid minds. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. We are still not live on Twitter because of their ridiculous new policy that you have to be verified to stream live. Still not a fan of that, but you can always follow, like, rate, review, tell a friend about Ramie and Drew on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Drew, how are you, my friend?
I'm tired. I want to go sleep.
You asked me if I wanted to do this. We didn't have to do this if you're tired.
No, we had to do. We haven't done one in like a week.
Yeah, I know the people want it, but if you're tired, I mean, if you're not up to it, then we can reschedule. Are you like, can you muster up like a half hour of that trademark Drew energy and barrel through this thing?
Yeah, I can start talking about stuff. Like, did you know that Alien Rhombombolus came out or whatever the hell it was called?
Rhombombolus?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's not what it's called. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that is not what it's called.
Alien Rhombombolus or whatever that came out. People seem to like it.
Do they? I don't know. I haven't gotten into the whole alien thing since like the first, I don't know, two. It has two. There's a whole canon though, is there not, of alien stuff?
Not if you don't want to unalive yourself. They're all pretty bad. The first two are like fucking masterpieces. Aliens is my second favorite movie of all time. Like the sequel, it's awesome. It's so one of my favorite movies. Like,
really?
Yeah. Aliens is number 2 on my list.
Huh. Okay.
Of all-time favorite movies.
I don't know. I never made a list like that. It's too hard. I start to do it and then I'm like, what about this though? It's like we were doing with our NBA all-time players list the other day. It's like I think of one and then I'm like, maybe that one should be out and this one should. It's impossible. I can't come up with the whole list.
Sure, you could. If you really sat down and thought, like, what are like 5 movies that you just don't get tired of watching? Like, I can tell you, like, right now, it's like number 5 for me, and this is like a weird movie, like, to have up there. It's like Ocean's 11. I really love Ocean's 11, like the Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Ocean's 11. I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made. It's just a really fun movie. I just like it, and it's funny every time I watch it.
Okay, okay. That's if you want to go like if you want to go sleeper top 10s and movies that I could watch over and over and over again.
They got to also be like somewhat good. They can't be like just nonsense.
No. I think this is a good. I think this qualifies. Pineapple Express.
All right.
I love that fucking movie, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like as far as like a comedy goes, like my favorite is definitely Hot Fuzz. That movie's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's better than Shaun of the Dead.
It's better than what?
It's better than Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's in that trilogy of Simon Pegg movies.
I'm not saying I don't like those Simon Pegg movies. I'm not as crazy about them as some people are.
Dude, Hot Fuzz is incredible. Like that movie.
It's really funny. It's a really funny movie. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's not as high on my list as it is for some people.
So like number 3, obviously, because I'm like a guy. So like Saving Private Ryan, definitely.
Oh, not even. Can I say it's not really on my top 10 or like watch over and over and over again list? Am I being disrespectful to the brave men who fought for this country?
Probably. Well, that movie's a true story.
Fought Hitler.
Which actually that factors into me liking a war movie more when it's not like based on a true story, because I hate watching like actual people die.
Again, another great movie. I'm not saying Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor.
I don't remember Lone Survivor.
It's the Mark Wahlberg Navy SEAL movie, and like it's mainly the scene where like one of the last 2 surviving guys gets like shot in the head, and they actually like show it. instead of just like having like a gun go off, like he's sitting on the tree all shot up, and the terrorist dudes just walk up to him and plug him in the head. But it's like they could have like birds fly away or something, and they like pow, and then like. But no, it's like they actually showed like an American hero get like shot in the face, and that like kind of sucked. Like I get
that
it's
does
like,
suck. That does suck.
Like, knew him, but like they could. I don't know. I didn't like how little tact there was on that. Like that's his family had to consult on that movie, and like his wife saw the movie, and it's like, yeah, it's Ben Foster's playing your husband, and he's got shot in the face, and that.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of mob movies and comedies. Like as far as stuff I can watch over and over again, like the first two Godfathers,
Okay.
obviously. Goodfellas, a very underrated. I don't know if you'd even call it a mob movie. It was just kind of a coming of age story that had a mob storyline. I love a Bronx Tale. Oh, I love A Bronx Tale. One of my favorite movies of all time. But I don't know. Outside of that, there aren't. And then there's like Pineapple Express. There's a few comedies I can watch over and over again. Seth Rogen movies, really, I can watch over and over again. But I don't know. It's outside of that, there isn't really. The Avengers, couple of the Avengers Endgame, Avengers Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier. These are all movies I can watch over and over again. I don't know if they're great movies or if they're my top 10 list, but if you're talking about movies I can watch over and over again, there's like, I think I just named off about 10 right there.
Yeah, the Aliens is my number 2, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is my number 1 favorite movie of all time.
All right. Well, nobody came here. We're not Siskel and fucking Ebert. You know what I mean? We talk
better than them because I'll at least steer you to movies you'll enjoy.
I love Siskel and Ebert. I remember I was very young watching Siskel and Ebert, like too young. I was watching a lot of stuff that I was watching and listening to a lot of stuff that I was way too young.
When it came out, critics hated Alien when it came out. They didn't like it.
Siskel and Ebert didn't? Are you sure?
No critics liked it. It wasn't critically acclaimed when it came out. It's like that's like all respect that like the original Alien. But anyways, now we have Alien Tremomulus or whatever. It's crap.
It's Romulus. Well, that's not that hard to say. It's Romulus.
Yeah, it's Romulus. And it has absolutely nothing to do with like the tale of like Romulus and Remus, except for like an alien sucks a titty and the black goo from Prometheus comes out of it. I'm not spoiling this movie because it sucks ass, but like, God, the movie blows. Spent $12.
That's not really the storyline, is it?
Happens towards the end. It's not necessarily the storyline, but it's definitely a point. Kitty goo comes out and a little monster. The black goo is so fucking bad.
Yeah, black goo not good. In any situation, no matter what you're talking about, a black goo, not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Yeah. It would be a real shame if they kept making Alien sequels and prequels and midquels and everything, and like they use like actors like Michael Fassbender and Idris Elba and Charlize Theron, and they just threw them in a movie that made absolutely no fucking sense. They would never do something insane like that, though.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Talking about Prometheus, which all of those are actually in that fucking movie, and it
wasn't good. They had all those actors, and it wasn't good.
Well, see, the actors can only read what they're handed.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not
you're right. Oh, by the way, since we're on the subject of bad things getting handed to actors, did you see that The Acolyte was canceled after one season? There will not be a season 2 of The Acolyte on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Oh, I saw it. Dude, the Twitter backlash is the absolute funniest thing for the people who like love this goddamn show. Like the tens of fans who like that fucking thing.
I was gonna say, are there people out there who love that show?
Oh, there were so many. There were, but I mean, dude, like, I mean,
no, there weren't.
Carefully curated to like all NBA and MLB news, and then it's like hating on Disney shit. And like the funniest thing was like all these people being like, "Great, fuck you, you toxic fans who got this fucking ruined for all of us." And I'm like, "Whoa, the toxic, like you're being a little toxic right now." Fucking blue hair land whale. Oh my god, you're so mad about a Star Wars show. It's like, are you a Star Wars fan?
I didn't watch it, but I did not hear good things I didn't watch it, but I didn't hear good things.
Well, they had a Jedi Wookiee and they killed him off screen, so that was cool. We didn't even get to see the Wookiee fight. They killed
fun.
a Jedi Wookiee off screen.
That's always
But
fun.
Manny Jacinto did walk shirtless and pantsless into a thing, and then that's how like, dude, the showrunner of the show. I know people don't give a fuck about this. The showrunner of the show said that like they took the line where it's like Anakin was like seduced by the dark side, and Leslie Headland literally thought that seduction could only be sexual and not like with like bribery of like power and like monetary stuff. Like the more like I know you said the thing about like, oh, like you watch these interviews. Yes, because when you figure out like this show sucks or this movie sucks, so I want some insight into how it was made. And then you hear the people that make it talk, and it's so much worse because they're so dumb.
See, I
And it's
just
like,
watched something that sucks, and I go, "Man, that sucked." I don't want to know anything else about
no,
that or how or
no.
why it happened.
When there's a consistent trend of why is everything Star Wars coming out besides Andor really bad, like it's just like, well, what was the thought process behind this? And you're like, oh, because you thought that the word seduction could only be sexual.
Yeah, that's
Like,
pretty
they're like,
dumb.
oh,
I don't care. The point is, it was
but
bad,
but
and that's why I didn't watch it, and
dude,
that's why it
dude,
got canceled.
you gotta watch that Mandalorian or not that Mandalorian scene, that Acolyte, like the episode where like the bad guy that everyone calls Smilo Ren because he's like Kylo Ren, but he's got like a tooth smile on his mask. They all call him Smilo Ren. You gotta like watch the thing where he gets like naked and like walks into like
Oh,
the water. Oh, and then like the girl who's like she's like the good twin girl, and she's like watching from behind a rock. You got to watch it with the English descript.
did you watch it?
Yeah, because other people like you got to watch it with the English descript audio. So like the thing is like it's like for like it's like if blind
Yeah,
people watch a movie. So like it
yeah, I know what
describes
that is.
TV. You got to watch the thing with the voiceover of them describing. It sounds like a softcore porn. It's so funny. It his powerful back glistening
You
in the sun. It's just like, oh my god, like this is Star Wars. Like,
you have too much time on your hands. Who's watching it with the sound description on? I watch it. I watch it with closed captions because I have bad hearing from 2 decades working in radio and wearing headphones. But I don't. I'm not going to watch it with the sound description on.
but if I'm telling you for the memes that it's really funny, you should
Oh,
because
all
it's
right.
really funny. It reads. It's like 50 Shades of Grey. It's it's
I don't want to
really
watch that, and I don't have time for that. How do you have time for these things? I do not
I
have
don't
time
know,
for these things.
because I don't sleep
And by the
well.
way, and Dame doesn't have time for your disrespect, as he sees it. Your disrespect. This was Bucks guard Damian Lillard on
Right
the
now,
520 podcast. That was a nice transition right there by yours truly. He was on the 520 podcast. Is that what's his face? Jeff Teague's podcast. Is that what you told me, Drew? Is that right?
I thought so. I think
Okay.
that it is.
I can't keep up with everybody, but it's the Club 520 podcast, and I'm sure it's a very good podcast, and they have a lot of followers and are doing very well. He was talking to them, and he was talking about being one of the best players in the NBA over the course of his career, and he says they definitely don't talk about it. He said they act like I don't belong. I don't be doing what I've been doing. This is going to be my 13th season. My time in the league, when I think about how many people have been very good over that time, it ain't been that many people that have been here the whole time since I've been in the league that just been doing it like over and over and over. But I think people just get bored with consistency, and I ain't loud, but I've been doing it that long and winning. Drew, is Dame Lillard disrespected or not recognized as one of the best players of the last decade plus?
I mean, he's definitely not probably recognized as a top 10 player because you'd have to be in there with like Jokic, Curry, Giannis. Um, yeah, but like he's definitely in the top 15, top 20. Like, and it's not like Dame Lillard wasn't respected because he definitely all-star starter multiple times. I mean, well, it's like he's also a big thing is like you played in the Western Conference and you also did play where Steph Curry was the best point guard in that conference. And it's like, so you're the second best point guard in the conference over that time. I don't think he's disrespected. I think he's more disrespected now that he's in Milwaukee because he was he was always, the guy that like he talked about, wanting to win in Portland and everything, and he wanted to, he wanted to bring a championship there, and he kind of like preached a lot of loyalty. But then it got to a point where he needed out because he wasn't gonna win, because they were just drafting rookies. Like they weren't gonna build around him. They weren't gonna bring in free agents. And for him to get maybe a little bit more respect, he needed to get that ring because of ring culture. And honestly, it's like, yeah, he went to Giannis, where Giannis has won a championship, but the league wanted him to go to Miami. If he put up the numbers he put up last year next to Jimmy Butler, I think that the league would probably be talking about him a little bit more. I think he's ignored the
For
same way
sure.
all of the players on our team are ignored right now. But if Dame would have went to, I don't think Dame would have gotten the smoke had he been in Boston because of how good that team was. Maybe he would have gotten a little bit more smoke, but like even like how much did you hear about Jason Tatum all year, really, or Jaylen Brown? Like they all kind of got equal coverage, but like they weren't like the Celtics weren't even like the sexy story to talk about all year. There was more like Jokic doesn't get talked about in Denver either. It doesn't mean that the league doesn't respect him. Like no one talks about Jamal Murray and those guys all should be talked about. Like I mean,
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with one of the first things you said, which is that Dame does have that longevity, and that's something to be recognized, to be respected. That puts him up there with some greats when he says, I've been one of the top players for 13 years, and great players have come and gone in that time. You know what I mean? Not many guys, like there's LeBron, obviously, but not many guys have been playing at Dame's level throughout the entirety of those 13 years. But other guys have come along who I think have surpassed Dame when you talk about their ranking in this league. When we do like who are the top 5 players in the league right now. And Steph has come along in that time, or came around the same time that Dame came into the league. But he didn't break out until what, like his second or third year in the league, right? I mean, yeah,
Dame better in like
so
year 2.
they were about the same time. But you brought up like Giannis, Jokic, Doncic, like other guys have come along, and when you're one of the best for that long, like people will recognize something. But when you're like, you've never been the best, like Dame has never been the premier guy in the league in any given season or for any stretch of time in the league. So he's not gonna he might not he might think he should be talked about in the same ilk as a Steph or as a LeBron and other guys that have been around for the entirety of the time that he's been doing it. But those guys were the best players in the league for given seasons or for given stretches. They have multiple MVPs under their belt to show that. They have rings to show that. So if he's saying he should be in the same class as those guys, regarded, respected in the same class as those guys, I don't agree with Dame on that. He's a great player, man. And like I said, there's something to be said for playing at the level that he has for 13 years, but he's not on a level with those guys. And like I said, other guys have come into the league since he started doing his thing who have done things to surpass him. That's just a fact.
I think a lot of this is he's hyping himself up like to get himself ready for the season, because
And I'm here for that. I love that.
He plays the best when he's got a chip on his shoulder. And I mean, he made a comment earlier in the season about the whole thing about like, them saying that his numbers dropped off, and he was like, I'm right my career averages right now. Like and that's where he's saying the thing about his consistency and everything. So it's like, yeah, I guess you're 25.6 points per game with what was it? I think he was around like 6.5 assists per game or something like that this year, or maybe 7 assists. He was around like that area. It's like, okay, it's like, so you would have to, for them to talk about you in year 12 or now coming into year 13, you're going to have to do like a 30-6, or you're going to have to do like a 25-10 or something like that, like he's going to have one of those numbers pop, or like his 3-point percentage is going to have to be just off the charts. Another thing that I saw somebody brought up in regards to this article. I forgot who it was. I think it was on Twitter somewhere, but they brought up the fact that like most of Dame's 3-point shots come off of the dribble. Like he creates his own shot, where a lot of guys like Klay Thompson and like Steph Curry, a lot of them have had like catch and shoot threes and stuff coming in like rotation. So Dame hasn't played with he hasn't also played with like a high quality roster. Like this Bucks roster probably is his best roster he's ever had last year, and then even this year will be the two best teams he's probably ever played on, even though they are older. But like him and CJ, like in Portland, all they used to do is they all just went off the dribble. Like both of them would just pull up and shoot and step back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're both good playmakers too. So it wasn't like they were just pure shooters. But if you're constantly in motion and stuff, you're gonna have less good looks at the basket, and maybe your shot percentage will be a little bit lower. But also, it's like for them to sit there and say things like people around the league know Dame time. Like they know the taunt, they know all that stuff. One of the most iconic shots in like the last 10 years in the NBA was Dame sending Oklahoma City home.
Mm-hmm.
Putting that ball over Paul George. So like I get what he's doing, and I'm going to be as good faith as possible and think that he needs to be talking himself up to be like to hype himself up and be like, I'm going to prove something, because I mean, after the way the Bucks played last year, I mean, yeah, he got hurt, and Giannis was hurt, but like, yeah, they do have something to prove, and I don't have an issue
for sure.
with having to prove and them having to walk in with a little chip on their shoulder, and maybe they want to walk into every arena being like, fuck you guys. Like,
no, their season ended in as disappointing a fashion as it could end last year, with how quickly it ended, with the way that the injuries piled up, the drama throughout the season. They came in thinking they were good enough to win a championship, and at the end of the day, they were nowhere near good enough to win a championship. They just weren't, and we can blame injuries in part on that, but that wasn't the whole story, and they know it, and they know that a lot of people were rooting for them to fail, and they want to prove those people wrong. There's no doubt about that. Guys like Giannis and Dame are really, really proud dudes. They have egos like any great professional athlete has. Doc Rivers, as a head coach, is a really, really proud dude with a huge ego, like a lot of very accomplished head coaches. And yeah, that's a lot of what drives guys like that. So Giannis and Dame, and I think the Bucks as an organization are seeking out some disrespect and some bulletin board material heading into this season.
I think the biggest thing that if honestly, if I could give a note to like Doc Rivers here and what to play over and over again for that team, just the soundbite, it's literally Windhorst saying, if it doesn't work in Philly this year with Paul George, you got to give it time. And then go back to December when they were sitting there saying that trading for Damian Lillard was a mistake, and just beat that team's head and be like, they are giving everyone else the benefit of the doubt except for you guys.
Yep.
Go do about it.
Yep.
I mean, I mean, like Dame and Giannis have been kind of the two most likable superstars in the league for a while and stuff. Giannis has been getting a little bit of a mean streak in him, ever since the championship and stuff. And I'm totally okay with it. I think it's time for Dame to have a little bit of that fucking mean streak too.
That's what's odd about it to me. And I don't like to spend a lot of time or energy or attention on it, but that's what's odd about it to me, is you paired up literally two of the most likable superstars in this league. And for some reason, people are rooting for it to fail. I don't understand it, man. And I'm telling you, if it works, and if this team starts to do good things, it's gonna be impossible for folks to stop the love affair that the basketball world is going to have with the Bucks, with as likable, not just those two guys, but, and I know Bobby can be a volatile guy who rubs some people the wrong way, but when things are going good, he's a very likable dude. Chris Middleton, like this is a very likable bunch of guys. And I think that if the train starts rolling and they start getting just a little bit of positive attention, it's gonna be impossible to stop the love affair that people are gonna have with this basketball team if things go well, because they're just two likable, of guys, just talking about Giannis and Dame being the face of it and the two faces of it. They're just too likable for that not to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like the two groups. There's like the people who are always going to hate, and like that, they're the narrative driven people who they really, really want. They really want it to be true that Giannis is a bad guy, and they want it to be true that Dame's a bad guy, and that Dame ran from the grind, and that Giannis recruited, and that Giannis was pulling the strings, and Giannis got his coach fired, and all this stuff. And it's like, and maybe there is a little bit of the truth to that too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not 100% true. Like, Dame could have committed to Portland and he could have mentored all those rookies and he could have been the old guy on a roster that's going to maybe be a 7 seed. He could have been a top 75 guy or it's like, or you want to go win that goddamn ring and with whatever way you can. I don't think that what he did was necessarily jumping ship the way like James Harden does. I don't think that like I don't think it's like how KD does it now. But also, KD's been doing it in the league for as long as possible. He got his 2 rings. Sure, he left Oklahoma City for the team that beat him. It's not like Dame got knocked out by Denver that one year and then all of a sudden
and then went to Denver. Yeah.
Jokic. Like, which also was like, I wouldn't fault him if he did.
I do. Yeah, I do get like if
after 30.
I guess if there's one thing not to like about it, it's the whole, superstars teaming up to win championships as opposed to homegrown championships. But I mean, that's just the way that the league is now, man. Get over it. The Bucks 2021 championship was as homegrown as it gets. And remember, like their little slogan after they won it was earned. There were banners and t-shirts and everything that said earned because they didn't go and team up a bunch of superstars to win a championship. But Chris Middleton wasn't drafted by the Bucks. I know they found him really early and developed him. Drew Holiday wasn't drafted by the Bucks. Brooke Lopez wasn't drafted by the Bucks. Like, and I know that's not putting together like a team of superstars, but free agency and player movement and stars going from team to team is just the way of the league now. And like, I never hated the Nets for doing it. I never hated the Heat for doing it. There were elements of it I didn't like in terms of how they did it or just some of the personalities involved in them doing it. But I never had any spite or contempt for them for simply teaming up and going and playing where they wanted to play with who they wanted to play and try and win some championships.
But also, how much fun is it to hate on those super teams? It's fun. So I get all the people that want to hate on the Bucks too.
Sure.
I'm okay with
people
hating on our team. Like, I don't really give a shit. But it's
like kind of cool that you're on the receiving end of that. Actually, you're like, oh, we're the guy who everybody's is rooting against. Yeah. We're the big bully on the block that everybody's rooting against. How often does Milwaukee get that chance?
Yeah, and it's like, and there will be a day where the wheels fall off. I've said this multiple times,
sure,
and I'm okay.
Yeah,
like the party's going to end at some point, but it's not today, and it's fun. But like I said, I think that Dame's right to an extent for what he's talking about. I also think, just based on the way he's been his entire career, that he's also talking to hype himself up. I don't think he's trying to stir up controversy. I don't think he's whining. I don't think he's doing any of that stuff because he's not a fucking complainer. Like, I would say Giannis is a bigger complainer than he is, like, even on the court. Like, it would be, and Giannis really isn't that big of a complainer. He's more passive aggressive, if anything. But
yeah.
But it's like, as far as like complaints go, like, I don't really have a problem with what he said. It doesn't bug me. Now, if he comes out and if we're doing the same crap that we did last year offensively, maybe I'm going to be like, well, yeah, they're not going to talk about you now if you're going to be very passive on offense when you're supposed to be the guy shooting threes.
And quite honestly, I don't mind him doing the podcast tour right now and getting this stuff off his chest. But we talked throughout the season last year, and there were even players who admitted it coming out of the All-Star break when they sort of stopped doing it, that there was a little bit too much talk and not enough action last year, and a little bit too much of well, just I kind of hate when this gets thrown around, but just distractions around this team and them sort of getting sucked into some of this media bullshit that we're talking about, of people doubting them and them feeling a need to go find cameras and microphones to tell people, hey, you shouldn't doubt us, instead of just going out and playing and showing people why they shouldn't doubt you. I don't need Dame continuing the disrespect tour once the season starts. Just go out and play basketball, man, and show them why they were disrespecting you. And I'm not just saying that to Dame. I'm saying that to the Bucks. Like I said, there were guys who admitted it coming out of the All-Star break that they fell into that trap in the first half. Don't let this continue into the season once things get going here.
No, and the Bucks have a real good opportunity. So you play in Philly, you play in Philly. They got their new look. They got Paul George. They got Tyrese Maxey. They got Joel Embiid. He's probably hurt right now. They got all those guys that you can go out there and you could go out there and beat them on opening night in their building, and that would be nice. And then you got the Bulls at home, and the Bulls are going to be dog shit. So you can come back home, and then you can just wax the floor with those guys. You could really put it on the Bulls. And that would be a good start to the season, where it's beat Philly on the road and then make a statement game immediately at home.
I really wish the Bulls could be good again. I'm all in on the Bucks, but I really do wish that the Bulls could be good again. That is my original basketball team.
So, okay. I was going to say, or is it like a thing where it's good for basketball if the Bulls are decent? Because
no, I've always said
being good. I'm all right with the Knicks being good right now.
I've always said, I don't know if I've told you this or if I've said it on this podcast. I've been on many, many platforms. Catch me on Chicago Sports Radio, 670 The Score, this Thursday, hosting the afternoon show after Cubs baseball. But what was that? I completely lost track after my after my shameless plug. Oh yeah, the Bucks. I mean, the Bulls are the Bulls are my number one gal, and the Bucks are kind of, and it's not like just some meaningless fling. Like, there are real feelings there, but the Bucks are, at the end of the day, my side chick. And I will go back to the Bulls when they give me a reason to come back home. Like, they better learn how to cook or something. But when they give me a reason to go back home, I will go back to rooting for the Bulls. But they've been so irrelevant for so long and just give you nothing for even a glimmer of hope for that basketball organization, where the Bucks, they got Giannis.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Makes it.
I don't know. I don't even. It's kind of the thing where it's like, it's like, okay, like, when you I would buy and wear a Jordan or a Pippen jersey. Like, I would.
A Derrick Rose?
To me, that's not what?
A Derrick Rose?
No, that's kind of pushing it.
A Joakim Noah?
That's really pushing it. That's a no. Because there's a certain point where there are some players where you're not even buying the team jersey, you're buying the jersey.
The player, yeah.
Where it's like, don't like the Celtics, would wear a Larry Bird jersey.
How about a Kirk Heinrich?
No. The fuck is wrong with
a Jason Williams?
No. It's like you're skipping over Rodman and like Kukoc and like all those guys. Like, you're skipping a lot of guys that I'm like, maybe for like teams, but like,
all right. But Carlos Boozer for sure, right?
Well, when he used a magic marker to fill in his hairline, that was pretty awesome.
Dude, that was wild.
I can't.
I don't know how you go out in public like that. I really don't. That was fucking. That was wild.
That's really good. That's like in Malcolm in the Middle when like they shave Francis's head. It's like because it's his birthday when he's in military. Girl, and he ends up marker his eyebrows on. It just looked terrible.
Dude, that was insane. That was insane. Yeah. I don't know how you go out and you're going to be on TV. You didn't just walk out of your house like that. You knew you were going to be on TV and decided that was okay. That was wild.
Wear a Carlos Boozer Bulls jersey, but it's got to be one of the black ones. to match.
I was kidding, but if you want to, okay. I'll tell you. I actually was talking to the girlfriend about this the other day, Drew. One jersey I might have to invest in. It's Caleb Williams, and we can start sculpting that Hall of Fame bust right now, ladies and gentlemen, and fit him for that gold jacket. Drew, did
I
you
don't sign
see?
up.
Did
I
you
don't sign.
see what the guy did on the football field the other day? Did you see some of the stuff that
Yeah.
Caleb Williams was doing on the
Yes.
football field the other
Yes.
day?
He scrambled out of the pocket and he had a touchdown pass.
Dude, but did you see the one to Roma Dunze where he rolled to his left across his body and threw it on the run off 1 foot and just dropped it in the bucket, like right
Yeah,
in the
it was
bread
against
basket?
third,
Did you
it
see
was
that?
it was against third stringers, and you know what? I think I was out there and I missed my coverage, and that's my fault.
No, that was special right there, Drew. The Bears, they
This is
got
why
themselves
people.
one.
This is why people make. This is why Packers fans make fun of the Bears fans so
No,
much.
I know, but
You guys,
this is different. This time
you guys
is different.
talking
No,
shit.
this time is different, Drew. And I don't care what you say. This time, this is different.
Oh my God! You said this last year with Justin Fields.
No, I didn't.
This one's different.
No, I didn't.
When's
No,
your coach get fired?
this one's really. I
Hey,
will say this. I will say, and I've said this in my hosting stints at 670 The Score down in Chicago. Catch me Thursday night. That is one of the things. There are two things that keep me up at night. That could be a wrench in this whole thing. Neither of them are Caleb Williams. He's the real deal. What they are is the offensive line. It's okay, but they're like an injury or two away from being a total fucking disaster, and they have some guys up there that are prone to injury, even more so than any other offensive lineman. And the head coach. I don't know if that guy is good or not. I really don't. I don't think anybody really knows if he's a good head coach or not. I'm leaning towards he might not be. And if that's the case, then we're going to be going into the second year of a quarterback's career with a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator. And it's looking a lot like, other times that have gone wrong in Chicago Bears recent history. So I hope, but I won't argue with you on that when you talk about the head coach. I won't. But Caleb Williams is a fucking stud, dude. He's the real deal, and he's flashed some things in the preseason. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Drew. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something. All right, I'm gonna say something right here, right now, on the Ramie and Drew show on August 20th, 2024 at 10:51 p.m. After we've seen him play in 2 preseason games. Entering week 1 of the 2024 NFL season, the Bears have the best quarterback in the division. I'm just there. I said it. The Bears have the best quarterback in the NFC North. And I'm standing by that statement, and I think it will be proven out over the course of the season. He is the best quarterback in the division on day 1. And I don't think there's much discussion when you talk about Minnesota. I think a lot of people look at Jared Goff and they go, yeah, maybe that could be. He's better than Jordan Love, dude, on day 1. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And you can call me crazy if you want, but Jordan Love only has 1 season under his belt as a starter. He didn't turn the corner until like week 9 or 10. I think Caleb Williams comes into the league sort of having, if not the same tools, as many tools as Jordan Love had under his belt in the second half of the season last year when he shined. I think he has that going into week 1. I think Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the division there. I said it.
Fine. He can be. Okay, so Ben Roethlisberger has won a Super Bowl, right?
Yes. 2, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought 2. I was going to be safe and say 1. Was he that good of a quarterback?
Excuse me. That was unprofessional. What?
Was he that good of a quarterback?
He was pretty fucking good.
But, like, did he have all the tools that you're talking about?
No.
So that doesn't matter. You got to have a good team around you.
True.
Caleb
No
Williams,
doubt about it.
I'll even afford you that Caleb Williams might be the most gifted of all the quarterbacks in this division. If nobody can catch the balls he's throwing, if he's got a great arm, but if people don't know where they're supposed to be running routes, if guys are getting picked up, if he doesn't have time to throw the ball because of pass rushing, all of his skills don't fucking matter. He better be
Agreed.
God. He better be godlike, because there were times that Aaron Rodgers made shit happen that shouldn't have happened. But Aaron Rodgers also had really good receivers around him too through most of his career.
I agree with you.
Cordy Nelson and Donald Driver and Greg Jennings, and then you had fucking Aaron Jones out of the backfield. You had so many guys here and there that like you could plug in, and you had decent offensive lines for a while.
No, you're right. And that support system and that infrastructure, I've been saying this forever, is where the Bears have failed every quarterback of my lifetime. And that includes coaching. So if Eberflus and his staff are not the right guys to sort of unlock this guy or get the most out of him, then that will be a setback and maybe something that unravels this whole thing. That's entirely possible. And I know it's possible because we've seen it. But the roster around him, and especially you talked about the guys catching the ball, that looks pretty damn good, dude, with DJ Moore and getting Keenan Allen in the offseason and drafting Roma Dunze, and they got a good tight end, and they signed DeAndre Swift, the running back from the Eagles. Like, they've put talent around him. The coaching staff, I don't know about. I don't think anybody really necessarily knows about. And I told you, the offensive line, question mark. The guys catching the ball, the skill position players on offense, really good around Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, offensive line too. I know a lot of Packers fans are concerned about our offensive line too.
Yep.
So,
by the way, they looked like shit on Sunday, huh? That whole team. What was it? 28-2. Oof.
30-2, I think.
30-2. Oh.
Fine. I'm not worried. I'm not as worried as Bears fans tell me to be, because I mean, I guess
you shouldn't be.
I guess go prove it.
No, dude. The Packers. It's gonna be. Yeah, man, they've been pretty good. I will say, I'm not getting too carried away. The Packers and the Lions are the class of this division. I do think the Bears might have the best quarterback in the division in Week 1. The Packers and the Lions are going to fight for the NFC North this year. I don't think the Bears are jumping the whole pack and fighting for first place. That I don't think is happening. But I think they finally got their quarterback, dude. I hope the coaching staff is in place to get it right. But I think they got their quarterback. But yes, the Brewers continue to do very good things on the baseball field.
Yeah, that was 6 in a row. Because I mean, we didn't
6 in a row now. Is it really 6 in a row now?
Yeah, and they had a little stat that came up. Our starting pitchers over these last 7 games or whatever they've posted a 0.74 ERA. Yeah. Yeah,
dude. They're
is good.
That is 6 in a row. I'm looking at it right now on the old schedule. Wow.
Saturday, that was crazy. He only had 2 strikeouts.
Yeah. Swept Cleveland, who's been playing some of the best baseball in the league. Tonight they beat St. Louis, and fuck the Cardinals forever. I don't care who you root for. Fuck the Cardinals forever. So
Devin Williams really put himself in a little pickle there at the end of the game.
He did.
I was like, oh no, we're gonna do this. This is pretty bad.
I think that can happen to any closer, and he's still working out the kinks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if we had a 3-run lead instead of Matt Carpenter somehow finding his youth against us again.
And I think we talked about it on the last podcast, but it became official since then that Christian Yelich is having season-ending back surgery. They don't give a fuck, dude. They just keep rolling right along, and stuff like that tends to catch up to you in October. You know what I mean? When you're missing a guy who's that good. But as far as the regular season goes, and this ain't the first injury, it's probably it is the worst, most serious and most damaging injury to this Brewers team when you're losing Christian Yelich for the last 40 plus games of the season and indefinitely. But it's not the first injury they've had, and they just, no matter who it is, they just keep rolling right along, dude.
Well, I wouldn't say that Tyler Black is rolling right along as filling in for being that other left-handed bat in that lineup.
I just mean winning baseball games.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, because I was like, Tyler Black is I don't know what he has on Pat Murphy. Why that guy? Oh man, he's like a full
ball. He's ball ability.
I got a bad feeling that guy might end up being the next Keston Hiura. He might just be a guy, because my dad always brings up the thing about well, you got to let him play every day. These are everyday players. and he's getting an everyday shot, and it's just he's drew a walk today. That was nice. Probably should have struck out. Honestly, think that was a
But I
strike.
don't think they're putting nearly as much on a Tyler Black as they were. I mean, Keston Hero, they wanted to be a middle of the order bat like from day one that they called him up.
I was texting AJ about this. Tyler Black batted third and fourth through a lot of the games when they first brought him up instead of just using Garrett Mitchell. They finally put Garrett Mitchell in the 3 spot.
I think some of that was out of necessity, where with Keston Hero, like that was the plan. Like that was the goal, was to have him in the middle of your lineup long term.
Yeah, but that's where they're sticking. Why would you call a guy up like Tyler Black and then throw him in the middle of the lineup? I don't get it. I haven't listened to Pat Murphy's post games, but I don't understand. I mean, he's not doing it now. Obviously, Tyler Black got moved down to 5th or 6th, which is fine. Like that's a better spot for him. But like, yeah, he's like, I get doing the righty lefty or the lefty righty thing. You know, we're doing Terang and then Contreras, and then you got another lefty. But it's like I would feel better about Garrett Mitchell than Tyler Black to at least put the bat on the ball.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. And you'll see plenty of Garrett Mitchell down the stretch.
Yeah, no, I mean Garrett Mitchell's playing every day too. Like that's not the problem. It's just I was like I didn't understand why Tyler Black was so high up. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
I
not
couldn't
like
explain it. And I haven't watched a lot of Pat Murphy's post game press conferences either, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not like it was a Ryan Braun call up thing where it's like, oh, he batted second for 2 days and then smacked some home runs. And then they're like, well, you're a 3-hitter now. Like Tyler Black is batting 194, which is a small sample size. He could get 2 hits tomorrow and be batting 250.
But at the end of the day, you just said 6 straight. I think they have the best record in the National League, if I'm not mistaken, or they're right up there with one of the best records in the National League. Tied. Yeah, they're tied for. No, they're half a game behind Philly for the best record in the National League. So, yeah, whether it's Tyler Black or whatever else Pat Murphy is doing, it is fucking working. He seems to be able to do no wrong.
Yeah, I mean the Brewers got to really just avoid. I really want them to avoid that 3 seed because I don't want to face a wild card team,
which could be the Cubs. Huh?
It's not going to be the Cubs. You guys are 5 games.
5.5.
Ugh. It's not going to happen, dude. You gotta give it up.
I don't want to.
You guys got to pack it in. You guys got to.
I'm gonna hang on to this till at least week 1 of the NFL season. I'm gonna try to hang on to hope till week 1 of the NFL season. That's like 3 weeks away. Yeah, I think that's like 3 weeks away. That's not that far. 2 weeks. No, 2.5 weeks away. That's fine.
What's the earliest the team has been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs?
It happened this year. The White Sox. I don't know the date. But the White Sox of this season. Yeah.
It was okay. I was like, they got to be real close because I mean, I was laughing so hard because I'm in that group chat with Vegas and Aaron, and they're both fucking White Sox fans somehow. And dude, I was just like happy getting eliminated day, and I was like, I was sitting on a beach.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago that they were eliminated from the playoffs.
No,
I think
it was over the weekend, but it's still
was it? Okay.
It's mid-August, like.
Dude,
yeah. Fucking my mortgage wasn't even due yet, and they were eliminated in August.
Look at you, Mister. I have a mortgage. Nice. I have a mortgage brag. I like it.
But yeah, dude, it's just funny being like, I got to pay this on the 15th, and you're like, oh fuck, the White Sox are eliminated.
Dude, it's rough, and I don't know if you heard, but I've been doing some hosting for 670 The Score down in Chicago. No. Catch me on Thursday night. But I'm a Cubs fan, and I feel bad for Sox fans. Like it's so bad that like, and I don't have like a true hate for the White Sox at all. But there's like I think of it as like a brotherly or a friendly rivalry where you like to be able to rib them when you're better than them, but you don't really root against them. And like part of you is sort of rooting for them. It's that type of thing. But man, I can't even take any joy in how bad it is for that baseball team and for their fans right now. I really can't.
No, it's
it's fucking bad, dude.
I mean, there's a point to where it's like something can be so bad that you actually kind of like it. It's like that movie The Room, where it's
Oh
like
yeah, I
the
mean there is that sick side of me. I can't say that I don't take any enjoyment in it. There's that sick side of me that does find some enjoyment and some humor in it, of course.
yeah. I was yeah, I was laughing pretty hard at them getting eliminated. And then like also like I didn't know that they just traded Tommy Pham back to the fucking Cardinals. And
Yeah.
they had Tommy Pham come in today, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna fight William Contreras today, you big tough boy. Big tough boy. He struck out looking. It's like, oh,
You know, that's
crushing,
why he fights in the off season.
dude. What a dork. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
that guy's a fucking weirdo.
He came in a pinch hit, and I was like, oh fuck, you somehow got out of that dumpster heap, but no one else did.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah. He had to go
Good
back to
for
the car.
him that he got out of there. Speaking of, I think we should get out of here, Drew. Unless you have any final words, any parting words for the viewing audience on
Rest in
episode
peace to the
65.
acolyte. Man,
Yeah,
they really I wanted to see where the story was going in season 2.
we hardly knew ye. I didn't know ye at all. I didn't watch. I did not watch.
What a bold strategy to make a show so fucking bad that they go, yeah, but in season 2, by the time that's over, it's gonna make sense.
I just want to know what they, and I do want to wrap this up. I want to know what they do with it, like as far as its place in like Star Wars canon, Star Wars lore. Do we just pretend it didn't happen?
Well,
What are
yeah.
we supposed to do with it? Like, I'm not going to watch it, but what are we supposed to do with it now?
Well, it's canon. So it costs money for them to keep this stuff on streaming platforms and everything.
Sure.
And Willow was so fucking bad, the TV show, that they actually scrubbed it from the internet. They salted the earth. They got rid of Willow. Like, Willow's gone. Like, you would have to actually bootleg a DVD of like Willow. And like the Acolyte was so fucking bad that potentially Disney would fully admit defeat if this ends up getting taken off of Disney Plus, because it's that fucking bad.
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost more to have it on the platform than it would be to just delete.
That's what they'd have to do to remove it from canon, right? That they'd have to just scrub it that same way.
They would have to acknowledge that this show was a massive mistake, and they won't do it.
Huh. Well, it'll be interesting to find out. All right, Drew. This has been episode 65 of Ramie and Drew. We appreciate everybody watching live on YouTube and on Facebook. If you missed any of it, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And like, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Help us grow this thing. And we will talk to you next time on episode 66 of Ramie and Drew.